The Miracle of Wanting Introduction. By means of this book, I want to share with you something I've been studying for the last 10 years. And that is how we can get what we want. In order to get whatever we desire, we're going to have to use our imagination. Studying this inner potential of ours is something I've dedicated many years to. This dedication will also never cease for the rest of my life. I am forever amazed about the true power of our combined imagination. It is through the proper use of our imagination that we can change the whole world. I therefore want to take you on a journey within your own consciousness, so you might uncover things you were not aware of up until this point in life. A change of perception is needed in order for us to look at our own lives and the potential we possess in a better way. In this book you will discover what your mental faculties are. If you were like me when you were growing up, you never truly learned anything about it. It's a sad fact of life, but our school system rarely teaches us anything about these things. And this is also one of the biggest reasons, if not the main reason, why there are so many conflicts in our world. Once we reach the age where we start to think for ourselves, odds are we are already programmed with many erroneous ideas about what we think we can do. Another problem this introduces is the fact that we now have to change our minds as adults altogether. It also causes us to believe more in luck instead of believing we can create our own circumstances, because this is a potential you truly do possess. Knowing that you can think is not enough. It's also important to know the best way to think and what you should think about. You might have heard the saying, all things are possible for those that believe. Here too, it is important to understand what to believe in, so that you can get the results you want. If you are someone that struggles a lot in life, has difficulty building his or her own career, has a lot of conflicts in relationships, has any difficulty in their studies, whatever it is, I will show you how to effectively improve all of these areas by the proper use of your own incredible imagination. Another way I could describe this whole process is by calling it creative visualization. This book was first created in my imagination. This program as well. Let me get off topic for a little bit of the text. But this entire coaching program that you're listening to right now started in my imagination. It sounds very simple. You might be like, well, it's easy for you. If you studied this material, you can create some coaching program. But the point is, I had to build the concept in my own consciousness first. And this is the point that I want to stress to everyone that will follow this coaching program or reads the book. We have to become aware that we have the potential and the ability to imagine whatever we want to imagine. Now, in my second book, I actually get down to business with that point because it's a very important one. But basically, long story short, I come down to this question of, are we exercising this potential or not? We can accept that we have this inner power in our own consciousness to imagine whatever we want, but are we actually using it on purpose? Are we actually building visions in our mind of what we want? Because that's really the key to this whole program. That is the key to your whole life. You can change any circumstance in your world by imagining the solution to the problem. Might seem absurd again, but you'll start to understand it later on in the coaching program. Now let's get back to the text. As I said, this book was first created in my imagination. Now from that point forward, it was created in the dimension of time and space. This is something you can do as well with whatever you want to achieve in life. And the following are a few important questions you'll always have to consider. What do I really want to achieve in life? What sort of career would I really love to have? What sort of life do I want to live? If anything is possible for me, what do I truly want? These are questions you don't answer with your normal surface mind, you answer them with your heart. The visions and desires that are within you are made visible through your imagination. Remember this. While reading this book, you will discover how to get what you want, and it is my hope that it will give you a new outlook on life, one that will improve your results so you can get what you want, and it will offer an enormous benefit for many years to come. This book is about the miracle of wanting something with all of your heart and mind. Now, right there, those 4 questions in the workbook, I put them again because you're going to have to answer them. You can read them and you're going to be like, well, those are interesting questions, but let me read on. Well, the important part is that you answer these questions. You really have to get an idea of what you want. It might be an enormous question. So right from the get-go, I'm punching you into your consciousness with some heavy stuff, because these questions aren't considered by each and every person on the earth. You might think they do, but no. Most people are more focused on what they don't want than on what they do want. If we're going to focus on what we do want, we're going to have to work with our imagination. And throughout each chapter, you're going to learn more methods on how to approach what you want by using your own mind from different angles. So it's going to be very fascinating for you to kind of develop an understanding and grasp what you are capable of doing just with your mind alone. So those 4 questions. What do I really want to achieve in life? It's a huge question, really. Think about it. I'm asking you to give me an idea of what your purpose is. I'm asking you to answer it to yourself. Do you even know what you want in life? What sort of career would I really love to have? Maybe you're in a job right now that you don't enjoy. Still, that doesn't matter. You have to become honest with yourself. That's the most important part. You're going to write out what sort of career you really would love to have, even though it seems impossible to have it. For example, some people might want to become an actor, or others might want to be musicians, but they think to themselves, well, that career, there's no way I can have that career. Other people might have it, but I don't think I'm going to be lucky in order to achieve that in life. Doing that is already setting up a bunch of limitations in your life that you want to get rid of. You want to stop doing that. You want to stop limiting yourself and your potential of what you can achieve in life. What sort of life do I want to live? It's another huge question because we're talking about how you want to spend your days. So besides the career, how do you want to spend your days? Do you have any idea of what you would love to do? Some people want to travel the world. I suggest if you do want to do that, to write it out. I mean, I personally want to travel the whole world, so I might as well have it as a goal in my life. You know, living the sort of life where you can be totally free and do whatever you want whenever you want. Sounds almost too good to be true for many, but it's still a possibility, a very real possibility once you start learning to apply your mind in the right way. If anything is possible for me, what do I truly want? There we go again. It's such a deep question. If anything is possible, it's like I'm asking you to go beyond all of your doubts. Now that might be way too difficult for you to do right away. I mean, it depends on your state of mind, but this is what you're going to learn. You're going to learn how to go beyond all of those doubts and start to realize and consider the question, yes, if anything is possible for me, what do I truly want? Because anything is possible for you. But you might have been raised in an environment where nobody told you that, and you started to believe in all sorts of erroneous ideas and limitations about yourself and your potential. And this is what we're going to change through this coaching program. So these 4 questions already, they're deep questions that you really need to think about. You need to write them out or type them out, it doesn't matter. But you need to get the answer out there so you can look at your own answer. And then when you have that clear, when you have a clear idea of what you want, and then when you start going over the rest of the program, you start to see how you can connect these ideas towards your goal, and then your imagination, because that's where this all starts. You start to imagine the sort of life you want to live. Then you start to realize how you can turn that vision into a reality. That is the goal here, and that's what we're going to do, but you need to open up your mind and make sure it stays open so you don't just dismiss all of these questions as being way too crazy. Because you do have the potential to have whatever you want, to achieve whatever you want in life. Never forget this. Chapter 1. What are you thinking about? The first step to get what you want. If I could ask you what you're thinking about most of the time, what would be your answer? Do you ever stop and observe your own thoughts? Because it's the very things we think about that will determine the quality of our individual lives. This is one of those facts of life most people never really consider. And it's very strange, for it is one of the most important aspects of our inner potential. When I first became aware of the enormous potential that is locked up within our ability to think of what we do want, I'll readily admit it didn't change my life straight away. It was like it went into one ear and came out the other. Looking back at it now, I realize it was more a matter of habit. I was in the habit of not paying attention to my own mindset. If you recognize this in your own life, then don't feel bad about it. The first step in positively changing our lives is by developing an understanding of where we are right now. And then I mean where we are mentally. That way we can learn to direct our own minds consciously, including the quality of our own thoughts. In this book I will share some ideas I've discussed in the past, ideas I put into short inspirational videos for people to watch online. One of the subjects I've talked about was the necessity to think of what you want and only of what you want. I also explained there's a high possibility we think more in negative terms than in positive terms. And why is that? And how can we change it? Why is it so difficult to think about what you want? You may be wondering if that's correct, and is it truly difficult to think about the things we desire? Now let me stop right here for a moment and tell you, if you're someone that's currently listening to this program and you don't really have a clear idea of what you want to achieve in life, this might not make a whole lot of sense to you. It might be kind of difficult to grasp what I'm getting at here. But what I'm actually getting at is the fact that whenever we do have a goal in life, it doesn't matter what it is. Maybe you want to be a millionaire or you want to have this great career. You can think about it, but then you realize that it's also kind of difficult to stay focused on that thought. So you start to doubt, for example, you start to worry, you start to wonder, is this actually really possible for me? And this is what I'm getting at. It's very difficult at first for people to think only about what they want. It's a skill that we have to develop and practice every single day. And that's what you're going to learn throughout this program, that this is the basis of all of it. This is the basis of the quality of your life, your ability to think of what you want and only of what you want. So your mind starts to attract the ideas and things and people that are necessary in order to fulfill your own desire. Now let's get back to the text. I can tell and confirm from personal experience as well as from the lives of others that it is true. Thinking only about what we want is one of the hardest things we can do. And the reason for this is due to our tendency to think according to current circumstances, instead of mentally building the visions of what we desire to have and achieve in life. What do I mean by that? If, for example, you dream about living with total financial freedom, the tendency is to look at our current bank account to see how much money we truly have. Then, going forward, we think it's absurd to see ourselves being wealthy through our imagination. If we are alone and lonely, it's absurd to see ourselves surrounded by great relationships. If we are sick, it's absurd to see ourselves healthy. And that is how it goes with almost everything in life. You see, you have this ability to think anything you want to think, and are we actually exercising this ability at all? In many cases we aren't, we just accept life the way it is. It's kind of strange and sad, but we're developing a new awareness and understanding of our own potential by studying this material. So as I described in the introduction of the book, it's very important for you to know what you want. And since you're currently reading or listening to this book, I'm assuming you haven't achieved it yet, or you might want to expand it into something bigger. If we honestly look at our dreams, we will discover we're all guilty of these contradicting thoughts. We know what we want, but likewise we also create all the reasons why it's not realistic to go for our dreams. What would happen if we stopped this process altogether? Stop doubting, stop thinking in negative terms, stop selling ourselves short. I can guarantee you things can only improve. We're either focusing on the positive or the negative. This is a choice we always make, whether we do this consciously or unconsciously due to old habits. If I could get you to think and imagine in such a way that you can achieve whatever you want, you won't have to wait very long for proof that shows how powerful your capacity to think and imagine truly is. I have found the easiest way to approach our potential as follows. Step 1. Know what you want. This means you need a clear vision of what you want to achieve in your life. Step 2. Develop the necessary willpower to stay focused on this vision. Step 3. Let your dreams inspire you. Take action based on the ideas that arise out of your own vision. This is part of a process that takes trust in ourselves and our abilities. I will get back to this later on in this book. Now the last step, step 3, is the most important one. But before you can realize your own dreams, you'll probably have no clear idea on how to achieve it to begin with. You have to learn to trust that the way will be shown as time goes on. The reason for this is tied into our ability to think and imagine. As long as we doubt, we are literally imagining in contradicting ways. Doubt is a sign you are imagining in the wrong way concerning the very things you desire. As long as we keep doing this, it's the main reason why we're not able to achieve all of our greatest dreams. If you execute step 1 and step 2 correctly, it's just a matter of time before the right ideas start to come. Ideas that will help you turn your dream into a reality. These are great truths about which we should be reminded every day. It's so easy to think in terms of doubt, to believe in current limitations, and because of that to sabotage your own potential. In reality, this way of living blocks the possibility of attracting to ourselves the right ideas due to our own negative thought patterns. I described in step 3 that it's important to allow ourselves to take action according to our vision. This too may seem strange, but what you will discover is that for most people their dreams are beyond their current comfort zone, and because of that they are afraid to take the proper actions. These people know exactly what they want, but a lack of confidence in themselves sabotages their own endeavors. If this describes your life, then this book will offer a solution to that as well. Don't read this book once, or don't listen to this program once, and listen to it daily. Think carefully about what you're reading and listening to until you understand its message. Then you will start to become inspired, leading you towards the right actions. That is a hint I can already offer you in order for you to get the best out of the ideas contained in this program. If I could talk with you this very moment, I'd simply ask what your dream is. Would you be able to tell me or anybody else? Do you have a clear idea on what it is you want to achieve? Discovering what you want to achieve is one of the most important things you can do for yourself. You're not meant to live your life on autopilot, doing the same things over and over again until the day you die. You're alive right now because there are desires inside of your heart that seek to be expressed. This is another important factor I've noticed with other people. When I hear them talk about stuff, their attention is focused more on their problems and the negative aspects in their current circumstances, not on the positive side of things. By that I mean on the things they truly do want instead of the current problems they are facing. If you were to achieve your dream, would your life improve? The answer to this should be a resounding yes. Otherwise you wouldn't have the desire to achieve the very thing you're dreaming about. Desires are like a spiritual language. It's making you conscious of a potentiality that lies dormant within you. A potential that's seeking expression throughout your current lifetime. Don't suppress your own dreams. People might have told you it's impossible for you to achieve your dreams, but as a child it didn't stop you from dreaming. What really happens is that we started to believe the words of the people that are surrounding us, and sadly, more often than not, their words when growing up are based on absolute nonsense. In many cases, the people you're surrounded by don't truly know the capacities of your own inner potential. This reminds me of an idea I once shared with some other people, which is that we let other people's perception determine our own perception of ourselves. Pretty absurd, isn't it? But then again, through this book we're doing the same thing. I'm trying to influence your perception, but I promise you in this case it's for positive reasons alone. It is one of the most important reasons why I feel like these ideas should be taught in our school system. That way, when we become adults, it's easier to make use of it. Now, currently as adults, in many cases, we have to change our whole minds and way of thinking in order to discover our own potential. Something we always had, but it was hidden behind all the wrong perceptions and convictions we developed about ourselves while growing up. So be honest with yourself. If I ask you what your dream is about, do you know what it is? Then, as you discover what you truly want to achieve, do you feel any doubt whatsoever whether you can achieve it or not? If you feel any doubt, big or small, it's not bad. It's normal. I recognize this within my own life. I have doubts all the time whenever I set new goals for myself. Thankfully, I've also discovered how we can overcome these doubts. So eventually we'll end up with the very things we desire to have. And let's go back to the start of this chapter. I asked you if you were aware what you're thinking about throughout the day. If your mind is full of doubts, there's a high possibility this doubt has your attention most of the day. What we want to achieve is a state of mind where your doubts disappear and get replaced by confidence in yourself. Believe in yourself. Believe in your own potential that you can get what you want. How do I achieve this state of mind? You may be wondering. You achieve this state of mind once you stop doubting altogether, when you learn to let go of the very thought patterns that cause the feelings of doubt. Wait a minute. There's gotta be more to it than that. No, this is the essence. The only way you can learn to stop doubting in yourself and your dreams is by developing your willpower in such a way that you can only think in terms of courage, clarity, passion, and believe in yourself. This is a very important part of our inner potential, our willpower. I'm convinced any person can discover what they want to achieve in their lives, but the problem we all face is a weakness of willpower. a weakness of attention. This weakness causes doubts to creep up on us. Our willpower is meant to help us stay focused mentally on what we want. If doubts show up, it's through your will you can learn to effectively refocus your mind on what you want. Instead of focusing on doubts, you discover you have the choice to focus on your dreams. In other words, you go beyond your own doubts instead of staying stuck at that part. If we honestly look at it, this is where most people truly do get stuck. They know what they want, but start to doubt. The doubt then takes over their whole minds and they feel unable to go further. Or worse, they start to believe it must be impossible for them. We can't take any effective actions while we're in this state of mind. When I talk about willpower, I don't mean it's going to be hard work. I mean that we need to develop the capacity to focus on what we want while mentally staying as calm as possible. If we approach our dreams from this angle, it's easier to stay focused on the end result that we're after. The end result being the realization of our dream. So if you know what you want, it's important to stay focused on the end result mentally and not on the doubts that might show up. If you focus on the doubts, you temporarily lose track of the very things you want. You literally have two options. Option 1 is thinking in terms of doubt. Option 2 is thinking from your imagination. Thinking from your magnificent imagination holds an enormous power, a potential that you might never have considered up until this point in your life. You cannot effectively achieve what you want if you're constantly going back and forth between these two options. Sadly, this is the case for many people. They might not realize it at first, but that's what happens. I once awoke from a deep sleep and heard this calling from the depths of my own being. You either start to live fully from your imagination so you can manifest your dreams, or you live fully from the realm of doubts. If I want to make life extra difficult and frustrating, I should go back and forth between these two options. So consider it well and you will discover that it's true. You should decide which side you'll pick from this moment on. This is something I struggled with for many years, until the calling for change came from the depths of my own being. I can still catch myself making the same mistake, but at least now I'm aware of it and can consciously change my behavior. This is very important for you as well, to know whenever you contradict yourself. When you think in negative terms, you will feel it. It feels bad and your emotions will let you know. When you think in terms of what you want and only of what you want, and when you realize how cool it would be to achieve the thing you desire, you will feel positive emotions. Hope, positivity, passion, ambition, motivation, love. Literally all sorts of positive emotions start to arise from within, indicating you are using your mind in the right way. So whenever you do feel bad, it's an indication something isn't quite right within your own mind. The real problems we face in life are always mental by nature. I could have opened this chapter with the following question. How do you feel throughout most of your day? Positive or negative? Most people will say they feel positive, yet they aren't going for what they want either. I want you to understand that all of this should be connected with your true desires, with what you dream of achieving. In other words, I'm trying to dare you to think about what you want even if it seems impossible in this very moment. Maybe you have a normal job and it pays well, like I have asked other people in the past. Is this a job you would want to work at until you die? Or do you have bigger desires hidden within your heart that you still want to achieve, but because it seems unrealistic, you don't go for it? It can be quite confronting, asking questions like these. It's not meant to intimidate you or make you feel bad about yourself. It is meant to help you, so that your life can become a great adventure. What am I even talking about, an adventure, right? I'm talking about living your life exactly the way you want. I personally make music, write inspirational books, create inspirational videos, create YouTube content, write fiction, both drama and horror. I do all sorts of things I want to do, and there will be even more and bigger projects over time. These were all things which at first had me doubt my own abilities, whether I could really pull it off. People around me thought it was just a pipe dream. I remember it very well the first time I ever mentioned to others that I wanted to write a book. They thought it was a joke. This was many years ago by now, but they made statements like, "You have to be very smart," or "It's very difficult to write a book, Renil, but if you do it, I'll be amazed." Well, those were just their words. I still went on and wrote my first book, and it's true, people thought it was pretty cool, but I didn't write it to stroke my own ego. I can imagine that you might face similar situations concerning your own goals in life. People around you might doubt. Let them. You just have to stop doubting in yourself. That's important. I've said it before, I know how to overcome my own doubts and end up with what I do want. They that obey the language of their own desires shall live with their creations on earth. For some reason I felt inspired to write those words and share them with you. Maybe it's a quote that you like. By all means write it down so you can read it often. And be sure to connect the quote with your own dreams. I was inspired to write it because it's true. The people who obey their desires will eventually realize them. In other words, they will turn their dreams into reality. You will create new results by obeying your desires without paying attention to any doubts that might show up. The thing you create will be the manifestation of what was at first a dream within your own mind. It's very important not to be obsessed about the time span. You may want to achieve your dream within 1 month, and maybe it will happen, and maybe it won't. The most important part to understand is that you will get there sometime. I call your desires a language because it's like a message to your own consciousness. Why aren't you going for this dream? How would your life improve if you made it a reality? Come on, go for it. This is why you desire to achieve it in the first place, because you know it would improve your life if it became a reality. When you are doubting your abilities to realize your dreams, you are essentially not obeying your desires. Thinking in terms of doubt can be compared to a boogeyman that resides in our minds. Who do you think you are? Do you think you can achieve this? Yeah, right. What an annoying voice that is. Time to ban him from your home, like you would tell an unwelcome visitor to leave. Your mind is your home. Fill it with your desires, with your dreams. Fill it with emotions and thoughts that are uplifting and hopeful. The biggest revelation for me was noticing the difference between imagination and contradictive reasoning. Through imagination, you can see and feel whatever you want. It is when we start to reason we walk the risk of creating doubts and contradicting concepts within our minds. What you truly want to achieve is that point of intensity where your imagination dominates your mind, including your capacity to think. That way your thoughts are operating from the domain of imagination. So during each day, what do you think about? Are they thoughts based on current limitations and circumstances? Or are they thoughts that are built from the domain of your own magnificent imagination? What you will discover is that through your imagination, your emotions can change drastically for the better. If you have the courage to see and feel yourself in possession of your desires, your emotions will create a giant change in your thinking. I'll try and describe the process as I experience it in my own life. If I feel myself in possession of what I want, I feel happy and motivated. These emotions then start to influence my own thinking, and because of that all sorts of new ideas start to occur to me. Ideas that I never thought of before. It's clear that I should act on these new ideas, and when I start doing that, I'm in the process of getting what I want. Is this how you live your life? If not, the time has come to approach your own potential in a new and more powerful way. All of this is connected to your ability to think from your imagination. Imagination brings you freedom. It shows you the way out of current limitation. Your biggest hidden power is your capacity to imagine beyond current circumstances. And by completely obeying your vision, you start to express your own fantasy. In many cases, we're not capable of executing our dreams right away. It may be due to lack of funding, or because we're not in the right place. But what you will discover is that there's always parts of our dream that we can execute from within our current circumstances. It should give you renewed hope for your life and your future when you truly grasp the power of what I just shared with you. Whatever your dream is, whatever you want to achieve, how unrealistic it may be, you can only desire to achieve something if you have the potential to realize it. The fact that it may seem unrealistic to achieve your dream, and the fact that you might not be able to execute it entirely, does not mean you can't do anything about it at all, or that it will stay impossible forever. If you have to start small, do it and make it grow. The more we can execute the small parts of our dreams effectively, the faster we can do bigger and bigger things. And it is out of this very moment that our future takes shape. This sentence right here, it's so important. I want you to really read this in the book, this paragraph, or to carefully listen to this part of text, because it's so vitally important to grasp this. It is out of this very moment that our future takes shape. So I hope by now you understand why it's important to think of what you want each day, every day. You know, your future arises out of this very moment. So you can see, if you stop doubting, if you stop holding on to old limiting beliefs and start to believe in yourself and start to think about what you want, start to imagine it, this thinking, this imagination, this imagery going on in your mind seeks to be expressed in this very moment. So you have dreams and you build them up. You might have to start small, but then it becomes bigger and you become more successful over time. It's a process of growth, and the growth occurs out of this very moment. That's why it's so important for you to really contemplate this concept, because it shows you why you actually have to learn to stop doubting yourself and stop thinking in negative terms. Because if you do that, well, what's going to happen? Out of this very moment, the future takes shape. So out of this very moment that you're thinking in negative terms, a negative future starts to take shape. So as I said in the paragraph, stop thinking in terms of doubts. It's the doubts that cause a delay, or worse, make it impossible for us to achieve whatever we desire. It blocks our ability to take effective action in this very moment. When I talk about taking action, I don't necessarily mean physical action. The most important part is to mentally and emotionally feel yourself already in possession of your dream. These emotions will automatically start to be expressed by you. You will be motivated towards taking new forms of actions, so don't worry about what you should be doing right from the get-go. The way will be shown. You will become inspired if you do what I just suggested. This is a process of growth, not a process of frustration and hurry. First, make sure you can feel love whenever you think of your dream. Literally fall in love with your own goals. This way your thoughts and emotions will be in harmony with your dream, and from personal experience I can tell you that you will become motivated to take certain forms of action. If you carefully analyze the process afterwards, you will discover they are actions you have never taken before, and this is what causes you to grow as a person. It is this form of growth that is needed in order to transform you into the sort of person that would create the results that are tied to your dreams. You know what you want, but remember, it's a result. The realization of your dream is a result. In order to achieve certain results, we need to be the sort of person that creates these results. It should be clear that thinking in limitation or according to current circumstances won't help you to change into the sort of person you would need to be in order to create what you want. The secret of wanting something is to allow yourself to express the very thing you desire to achieve. What are most people doing? If they know what they want, they immediately start to think about reasons why it probably can't be done. The reason for this is that they are looking at their dreams from their current limitations. It's almost like your dreams need you to become a new and better version of yourself. An example I can give you is this book. If I thought I couldn't write a book, even though I desired to do so, I wouldn't receive any motivation or inspiration to do the work. If I do allow myself to change into a writer, it means I have to adjust myself according to my vision, and only then will I have the power to express my dream. I've spoken to many people over the years that told me they wanted to be a writer, but more often than not, nothing happens. Why? Because they didn't truly allow themselves to be in harmony with their dream. You can always think of what you want, but if you only think of it without feeling any emotional response, you won't be properly motivated to take the necessary action. It's when you can truly feel, this is what I really want to achieve. This would be amazing to achieve and to have. Only then will you be inspired and motivated. That is when you receive the strength to do what needs to be done. I would advise these same people to use their imagination to see and feel themselves already being a writer, and to let this influence their own thoughts and emotions. Believe me, this works. There is no room for doubt unless you want to delay the realization of your dream indefinitely. Many people time and time again show me their thoughts are led by current circumstances instead of their thoughts being led by their imagination. Our imagination does not know any limitations. It can show you and let you feel within your own being what it would be like were your dream a reality right this instant. It is through your imagination that you can learn to think beyond current limitations. All of this made me realize there's a lot of people in this world that make music. Some become successful, others don't. Why? Is this really a matter of luck? If you were to ask these people if they wanted to be successful, their answer would undoubtedly be yes. I don't believe in luck, and I think advising others they need luck is a disservice. What I discovered for myself is that no matter how good we may be at doing certain things, if we don't have the confidence to dominate the whole world with our own dreams, we will never know great success in any undertaking. This is another thing I've recognized in my life. I've been working on creative projects for years, but I never achieved great success, simply because I didn't have the courage to approach the whole world with the very things I've created as a musician. Pretty absurd, isn't it? Now, all of this is tied to a lack of self-confidence, and this is another obstacle many people will have to overcome in their own lives. If you recognize this from your own life, I have good news. Through your ability to imagine, you can develop courage, the sort of courage to dominate the world. When I say dominate, I don't mean it in a negative way. It's up to the reader to decide whether their dreams are positive or not. How can imagination create courage when it's missing? This may be the one thing that's stopping you from going for what you truly want. You can create courage by having a strong conviction in what you do. This conviction should not be determined by what other people think of what you're doing, but by what you think about what you're doing. Is your dream truly something you want to be great at, become big at, and become famous with? If so, see yourself by using your imagination as being successful and let this vision dominate your whole mind. When I started doing this in my own life, everything started to fall into place. It all seemed to speed up. I started discovering more and more creative ideas on how I could approach my own dreams and share them with the world. At the same time, it brings me a lot of enjoyment and fulfillment working on these projects. The payment isn't just in money, but in living my life with passion. It can be the same for you. You will discover a lack of confidence is always tied to worrying about what other people think of you. Stop doing that. For other people who might not agree with what you're doing, there will be an equal amount, if not bigger amount, of people who will appreciate what you share with them. If you dare to believe in this, your fears will melt away, and they will be replaced with powerful courage. Are you someone that's involved in artistic projects but hasn't yet achieved great success? Then I hope this gave you renewed hope for your own future. The world needs your work, otherwise you would never have been inspired to create the things that you make. Everything you truly desire to have, you desire because you can have it. And it's a bonus when it starts to inspire others and helps them get what they want. I see this happening in my own life. I write from personal experience.